I started budgeting my finances 10 years ago. At 25, I went from not even knowing how much money was in my bank account to paying off $43,000 of debt in just 13 months and eventually reaching a $1 million net worth in 2024. I made a lot of dumb mistakes along the way, mistakes that, had I known them, I would have reached my financial goals way faster. So in this video, I want to share the 6 budgeting hacks with you so you don't have to go through all the stress and make the same mistakes. With that said, let's jump right into the first hack, thinking you can't save money with your current expenses. The first question that I'd ask someone who says this is, what have you tried? Because I talk to a lot of people about their personal finances every day, and what I'm finding is that people tend to come up with excuses as to why they can't do the thing, but when I ask them this question, they haven't tried anything yet. And that's okay. Like, if you're new to this, you're maybe not going to know what to do. So here's what I recommend. It's called the 3-month look back process. But basically how it works is you want to go back 3 months for all your variable expenses. So think groceries, gas, utilities, etc. Things that come every single month that you need to pay, but they fluctuate every single month, right? So it's not like your rent or mortgage, which are likely fixed every month. It's stuff that you buy, but it changes every month. So pull out all your bank statements, your credit card statements, however you spend money, right? Write it all down, lump them into big expense categories. That way we can get the average of those last 3 months. And once we know how much we've spent in each of those expense categories, you're going to look at them, you're going to look at the average, and you're going to ask yourself, is me spending money in this expense category, is it aligned with a financial goal or a life goal? The answer is likely no, okay? Especially if you've never done this before, but that's okay, right? You're new, we're learning a new skill, we're trying to figure this out, so don't get discouraged, right? But we're going to take a look and see how we can adjust it, right? Because you're in control. These are your personal finances. Okay, so you're the only one that can fix what's going on, which is fine. This is great. That's what we want. We want to be in control. And once you tell yourself what your goals are, like what is your most important thing, again, a financial goal, a life goal, these goals become your North Star and it helps guide your money decisions. It makes it way easier. Moving on to the next hack I wish I knew at 25, using unrealistic spending limits. This can go either way, right? Too high spending limits or too low spending limits. But I want to talk to you about the low spending limits. And let me tell you what happens with most people. Let me know if this resonates. You get in like an emergency financial situation and you just start slashing your expenses, right? You do that for a couple months, but then it just goes back to normal. You're yo-yoing back and forth to slashing, to not slashing, to slashing. And it's just like this crazy process. There's no flow, there's no rhythm, there's no structure. Why? And it's just not sustainable. You're gonna get burnt out from, having nothing in your life, and it's not going to work, and you're not going to stick with it. If I said I wanted to lose 20 pounds in a week and that I was only going to eat 500 calories a day, that would maybe work for a couple days, but that's just completely unsustainable. And I would absolutely burn out. I would have a cheat day and probably would be a health risk, but I'm not a doctor, so consult your nutritionist. But how can you find a sustainable financial solution? It all comes back to the financial goals, because it does us no good if we take 2 steps forward but then 3 back. And we keep doing this like seesaw thing. My 3-year-old loves a seesaw, but for you and our finances, like we can't be seesawing, okay? We need to be making slow progress forward. And then that slow progress turns to like a medium speed, and then we're sprinting, and then we're Usain Bolt. If you're in the crawling, walking stages, right? Create that goal to be your North Star, where all of your money-making decisions should go through that. If a decision you make will get to your goal faster, then do more of those things. If a decision that you make will not impact your financial goal or impact it negatively, then maybe we don't do that. And if any of this interests you at all, I've actually got a free course helping you find your own money in your finances, right? So you can pay down your debt 2 times faster. If you're interested, here's the link on screen, skool.com/debt, and you can get a free strategy call with me if you sign up today, which transitions nicely to the next budgeting hack, seeing budgeting as a tool, not as a restriction. 10 years ago, I wasn't paying any attention to my finances, couldn't care less, until everything started crashing around me. And it was at the time when I was going to make the biggest purchase of my life to that point, which was a new car, a 2015 Subaru Legacy. Whew, watch out. And I was actually really excited, okay? So it was the day before we were about to pick it up. I was at my 9 to 5 and panic struck. In my mind, I'm like, oh my God, do I have enough money for this down payment that I'm supposed to give them tomorrow? I go to the World Wide Web, I check my banking account, and I'm $1,500 short for the check that I have to give them tomorrow. So I was scrambling, right? I borrowed some money from my girlfriend. She transferred it over. She's my now wife. And yes, I did eventually pay her back, but it wasn't going to get there in time for the check that I needed to write. So a long sleepless night, walk to the dealership, tail between my legs, right? I give them my sob story and I'm like, please just don't cash this check until like Tuesday, please. Like, it's coming. I have money. Just, they didn't love it. Somehow I was able to drive that car off the lot. I was shocked. But on the way home, all I felt was shame and embarrassment. And I felt like I let myself down, right? Because I had gone to school for accounting. And in my mind, I was this person that was supposed to be organized, good with money, good with finances, and all this other stuff. And I was not living up to that expectation that I had myself. Like, how could I have made such a big mistake and been so careless? I didn't even know how much money was in my bank account to the nearest $1,000. Okay. So this was actually a hell no moment for me when I drew a line in the sand and I was like, this is never going to happen again. So it turned into, okay, I need to start tracking something. So it was just how much money I had in my bank account at the beginning of the month and then how much was in the end of the month. Okay, that seems pretty simple. And then I was like, well, okay, is it going up or down? Am I, increasing my bank account? Is it decreasing every month? Great. And then I was like, well, I probably need more specifics on where my money's going, like which specific expense categories the money's going to. And soon I just got more intentional and more intentional, more intentional. And that's how, eventually I was able to have the habit to, reach the financial goals that my wife and I have been able to reach. Is because of this like obsession that I had early on of just trying to fix this situation, this problem, this embarrassment that I had. And I tell you this story because, again, I've been, an accountant for a decade now, and I have, reached financial goals, but I didn't start like amazing with it, right? So I don't want you to be overwhelmed. I literally just started tracking my bank account to see how much money was in it. That's the first step I did. So if you're overwhelmed, just do something really small that you can do and just like check it every day. Like, oh, hey, here's my bank account. Here's my bank account. Because guess what? If you check something every single day and you're consistent with it, imagine the success that you're going to have. And one of my favorite quotes around budgeting is, a budget doesn't tell you what you can't do. It tells you what you can do with your money. The fourth hack I wish I knew 10 years ago: staying committed even when the first budgeting attempts fail. Personal finance is hard. There's no sugarcoating it. But if you've never gone down this personal finance journey before, then that means it's a new skill. And new skills, you don't just pick up right away. Did you fall a bunch the first few times you rode a bike as a kid? Were you an expert in your field on your first day of a new job? Of course not. But you stuck with those things out of, either a necessity, like your job, or a want, like riding the bike. So if you keep falling off the wagon doing the personal finance thing, you need to find a way to make it either a necessity or, dare I say, make it fun. There's a few ways to do this. One way is to have an accountability partner. That way you aren't just letting yourself down if you don't do it, but the person that's, working with you and you guys made a bond over this, you're impacting them as well. So find a, significant other, a friend, a family member, whoever, someone that you can talk to about this, and maybe they're going through something similar and you guys can both help each other climb the mountain. Another way is to make a financial goal so good and so impactful that you have to reach it. For example, I have a goal in the next 5 years that I would love the opportunity to go to my wife and be like, you know what? I make enough money for all of us now. And if you don't want to work anymore and you want to do something else, you have that opportunity. So after writing it down, saying it out loud, and now, speaking it publicly in a video like this, like, how am I not going to try to achieve this goal? Like, it feels like it's everything now. The weight is on my shoulders. Moving on to the next hack I wish I knew at 25. Every dollar spent has a purpose. Looking back at my car story from earlier, I took money for granted. But once I thought about it as a tool to help me reach my financial goals faster, changed everything for me. I started tracking my finances using what's called the zero-based budgeting strategy. And with this strategy, every dollar that comes in, we allocate a home to it. Okay, so a simple example, if we bring home $4,000 of income and it's consistent, then that means we need to budget or plan for $4,000 being spent in that month. And no, I don't mean if you have, extra at the end of the month that we go crazy on Amazon or whatever the thing is. Figure out what you can live on and then budget for your financial goals. The people I talk to, they're neglecting financial goals consistently every month and they wonder why they're not getting ahead. So here's how I want you to start thinking about this. Bucket out your expenses with need items, okay, and want items. Now you have to be really honest of what a need item is for you and what a want item is for you. Then what we do during the month, we obviously need to prioritize the need items, right? So we need roof over our head, foods in our bellies. We need, electricity this day and age. And then what I want you to do is slot in the financial goals. So we're prioritizing the need, then we're prioritizing the financial goals, and then whatever's left over is for the want items. And I know in the beginning that's going to be an adjustment period for you because what you're probably doing now is need and want. You're not really bucketing them separately. It's just sort of, here's my life. And then at the end of the month, it's like, oh my gosh, I have no money to put towards retirement, pay down my debt faster. And it's just a losing strategy. So we want winning strategies here. That's what I try and explain. Pay the necessities. And then don't think about, feeling good today. Think about feeling good in a decade or 2 decades, which means you have to put money towards financial goals next. And if that means less purchases on Amazon or Uber Eats or whatever the thing that you're interested in doing, you're just gonna maybe have to get over it for a little bit. It's not forever, it's just a little bit, so we can start progressing and get momentum in these financial goals. The number 6 budgeting hack I wish I knew 10 years ago. Thinking you don't make enough money to budget? Someone literally told me this one time and I started to chuckle only to realize that they were actually serious. Budgeting is for any person in any country, using any currency, with any income, any religion, any gender, all this other stuff. Anyone. It's literally for anyone. I've said it already in this video, but I have to say it again. If you take away one thing from this video, is that budgeting is about being intentional with how we're spending our money. How aligned is our spending to our goals, right? They should equal each other. Spending equals goals. Please. And the reason why you're probably living paycheck to paycheck or have a ton of debt you don't know what to do with is because your spending aligns with absolutely nothing. There's no priorities. And like I said earlier, I've worked with lower income people that are absolutely crushing it with their finances and higher income people that just, they're not. The lower income earners are budgeting because they feel like they have to stay on top of everything. They just have less to work with. Whereas the higher earners just think that their higher salary will cover up their financial negligence, we'll call it. But the truth is, it's just not about the income, it's about the habit. So until you build the habit, nothing's going to change. But if I'm being honest, none of this even matters if you don't know how to budget. I talk about how to build the perfect budget in just 7 steps in this video, so I will see you on the other side.